when you begin to understand that the aesthetic side of life is ubiquitous, it's everywhere, it's not at the fringe of life, it's at the center, then you've broadened your field. Then you can use, not just the fine arts in your apologetics, but the aesthetic side of life, which is just, like I said, it's everything. One example, a personal example, is I just wrote a brief article on my blog about the aesthetics of Charlie Kirk. Okay, and most people wouldn't make that connection, but when you think about it, his aesthetic and his organization's aesthetic is very strong and powerful. He had logos, and his branding is sharp, it's crisp, the colors are making bold contrast, because his message was there is a right and there's a wrong, and he didn't want to blur those distinctions. And so even from the way his family presents itself in public, they're communicating a message of traditional values of biblical marriage, of sort of that stability and normalcy in a time of so much confusion. So there is an aesthetic aspect to all of life. Maybe one more example recently was, I don't know if you remember the horrible Texas flooding that happened this last summer. There was a photograph that caught my eye on a BBC article. Someone had come along and arranged some stuffed animals on a windowsill of one of the cabins where several young girls had perished in the flood. And looking at that, you could see the aesthetic aspect of life. They were lovingly placed there, side by side. They were facing out from the wreckage towards the horizon. And so, a Christian worldview makes sense of that. We know life is sacred, life is precious. So we want to memorialize, we want to honor that. So the point is, when you begin to see the aesthetic side of life as ubiquitous, as spanning the vast human experiences that we have, then you've got a lot more ground to work with.